1996. Michael Jackson sits across from Marvel executives with a dream. Not just to own Spider-Man, to be Spider-Man. One signature away from rewriting pop culture forever. Spider-Man with a sequence glove? The Avengers grooving to Thriller? In 1996, this almost happened. Michael Jackson, yes, that Michael Jackson, tried to buy Marvel for just $25 million. Marvel was drowning, $700 million in debt. Jackson saw opportunity, but he didn't just want to own superheroes, he wanted to be one. According to Stan Lee himself, Jackson's number one goal was playing Spider-Man on the big screen, one signature away from rewriting pop culture forever. But Marvel's owner wanted $1 billion, and the deal collapsed. Still, for one surreal moment, the king of pop nearly ruled the Marvel universe. This isn't fan fiction. This is the blockbuster that almost happened. Marvel was broke. Stock plummeted from $35 down to $2.50 a share. The company was $700 million in debt and grasping for air. Enter Michael Jackson. He slides in with a $25 million offer and a plan to play Spider-Man himself. And this wasn't some publicity stunt. According to Stan Lee, Michael was very serious about Spider-Man. He wanted to play the character himself. This was passion, obsession. Jackson didn't just want Marvel, he wanted to swing through it. But then, the music stopped. Marvel's majority owner, Ike Perlmutter, slammed the brakes. You want Marvel? Cool. That'll be $1 billion. Game over. Jackson's team walked, convinced Marvel was overvaluing its characters. And they were wrong. Disney would pay $4 billion a few years later. But MJ had his own money problems. By 1998, he owed $140 million, and that debt would balloon to $500 million. He couldn't afford to save Marvel, even if he wanted to. And Spider-Man wasn't the only dream. Jackson also met with director Joel Schumacher about playing Superman. To him, superheroes weren't roles. They were reflections of himself, larger-than-life icons wrapped in myth, music, and mystery. Here's the irony. Just a few years later, both Jackson and Marvel made massive comebacks. Marvel launched with X-Men and Spider-Man, and Jackson reclaimed the charts with tours and his unbeatable music catalog. But their paths never crossed again. The greatest crossover in entertainment history is still stuck in the multiverse. If Michael Jackson had bought Marvel, we wouldn't just have different superheroes, we'd have a different idea of what superheroes even are. Jackson wouldn't have made movies. He'd create worlds, a symphony of music, film, theme parks fused into something no one had ever seen before. Do you remember Captain EO? Jackson's 3D Disney short, directed by Francis Ford Coppola? That was just the warm-up act. Now imagine that ambition applied to every corner of the Marvel universe. Spider-Man mid-battle, breaking into synchronized dance routines, villains locking into the beat, webs weaving kaleidoscope patterns across the skyline as the music swells. Iron Man's armor? Not just functional, fashionable. Glowing panels pulsing to the rhythm. Sleek designs ripped straight from Jackson's Scream video. Alien? Futuristic, and just a little bit insane. And Blade, still a daywalker? Or Wesley Snipes starring in a vampire-themed pop opera, hunting under neon lights and thunderous bass lines only Jackson could create. Oh, it sounds ridiculous, and yet Jackson delivered on ridiculousness. His music videos were not videos. They were short films, directed by legends John Landis, Martin Scorsese, masters of cinema bending to Jackson's vision. And Moonwalker? a 1988 fantasy epic where a shape-shifting hero battles evil with music. Basically Spider-Man with a glitter jacket. Fans would have lost their minds. Half screaming betrayal, half screaming genius. X-Men battles choreographed to synth beats? It's unthinkable. Until Jackson made it inevitable. Financially though, a disaster waiting to happen. Jackson's Marvel would demand concert-level budgets, theme park expansions, cross-platform storytelling, all while Marvel itself was bleeding out, and Jackson's own empire was sinking into debt. Disney would later build the MCU brick by brick, and Jackson would have set on fire and danced in the flames. It would have been unsustainable. It might have bankrupted everyone involved, but for one blazing, spectacular moment, it would have been beautiful. Could Michael Jackson actually pull off Spider-Man? Surprisingly, the case is stronger than you'd think. Jackson wasn't just a dancer, he was a physical phenomenon. Those zero-gravity leans, those impossible spins. The man broke physics like Peter Parker broke curfews. Spider-Man's aerobatics, for MJ, that would have been Tuesday. And the acting? He had chops. The Wiz showed he could inhabit a character. Captain EO proved he could handle sci-fi spectacle and lead a cast. But here's the problem. Peter Parker isn't a spectacle. He's Queens. He's ordinary. And by 1996, Michael Jackson wasn't ordinary anymore. He was otherworldly. A living myth wrapped in fame, controversy, and mystery. Could audiences ever look past the Moonwalk and see the nerdy kid with a camera? And let's picture it. Spider-Man cornered by Doc Ock. Tension building. Suddenly, a spin, a gravity-defying backflip. Electric? Well, absolutely. Authentic Spider-Man? Not really. But Jackson's obsession with Spider-Man wasn't random. Peter Parker lived two lives. One public, one hidden. For Jackson, who had never experienced normalcy, that double life must have been intoxicating. This wasn't just a role, it was a chance at escape. A chance to hide behind a mask and finally be seen. Years later, Robert Downey Jr. would find redemption in Iron Man. For Michael Jackson, Spider-Man might have offered the same. A way to swing between two worlds when he was trapped in only one. The web-slinger meets the moonwalker. Reality meets fantasy. And in another universe, it actually happened. One signature to close the deal. That's all it would have taken. If Michael Jackson buys Marvel in 1996, the entertainment universe we know implodes. Disney never buys Marvel for $4 billion in 2009. The carefully plotted MCU? Gone. Iron Man launching in 2008? Never happens. Instead, we get something wild. Superhero movies infused with music, dance, and spectacle. Not just action vehicles, full-blown experiences. But Jackson's Marvel would have faced a brutal reality check. His own debts, $140 million and rising, crashing headfirst into Marvel's $700 million black hole. Mathematical suicide. Or would his star power have pulled in deep-pocketed investors and stabilized Marvel years before Disney ever sniffed around? The cultural shockwaves would have been massive. Jackson championed diversity decades before Hollywood caught up. Black Panther in 1999, Storm leading the X-Men on the big screen, not pipe dreams, priorities. But it cuts both ways. Jackson's flamboyant style could have turned grounded heroes into living, breathing caricatures of themselves. Less, I am Iron Man. More Earthsong, with, laser blasts. And the casting dominoes? Oh, those are completely different too. Robert Downey Jr. never gets his comeback. Chris Evans never picks up the shield. Instead, Will Smith as Wolverine. Whitney Houston as Storm. A surreal late 90s superhero boom powered by pop icons at the height of their fame. And beyond the movies, imagine Marvel-themed sections inside Neverland Ranch, Captain America roller coasters, blasting Thriller during the biggest drops. Spider-Man stunt shows, gliding above crowds to Billie Jean. All of it because of one missed business deal. Two empires, one crossroad. A parallel universe where Spider-Man moonwalks between skyscrapers while battling Green Goblin. Not fan fiction, not fantasy, just the future we barely avoided. Michael Jackson almost rewrote superhero history, one deal away from a universe where the gloved hand shooting webs belonged to the king of pop. Imagine the timeline. Spider-Man dancing between skyscrapers, the Avengers assembling to big orchestras versions of Beat It, Captain Marvel moonwalking through the cosmos. Would it have worked? Maybe. Jackson's creative genius could have elevated Marvel to new heights, or crashed it into oblivion before the superhero renaissance even began. The Marvel we know today, Disney's multi-billion-dollar empire, 30 interconnected films, cultural domination, exists because this deal collapsed. Promoter demanded $1 billion. Jackson walked away. History chose its path. Every Iron Man quip, every Captain America speech, every Thanos snap, all of it because a pop star's dream never came true. That's the secret power of history. Invisible crossroads where reality splits and a different world is born. So here's the question. What other near misses shaped your favorite franchises? What almost happened deals are hiding in plain sight? Drop your theories in the comments. Follow Quantum Trails, where we chase the timelines that almost were and the blockbusters that never happened.